Okay, writing the literary analysis. Okay, this is a nice little snapshot as to what thoughts and steps need to go through your mind in writing a response to some literary piece. Okay, in our rhetorical analysis unit, we're focusing on one particular essay. In your lit courses, you're focusing on responses to literature, whether it's an act or one poem or something. The steps in the process should be relatively similar as you are analyzing those particular pieces. And this is just a nice little review, the things that you need to include and such. Your introduction, okay, your literary analysis is a paper that gives a deep and illuminating explanation of a literary work. It's not a summation. Okay, it's you giving your opinion and backing it up with textual support. Okay, so here's your opinion, here are your thoughts. Why do you think that? Well, based on this. That is the proper avenue to have a good literary analysis. We will learn how to formulate a deep thesis, organize a paper coherently, and use a number of different critical methods. Just the basic things you've been doing year in and year out. Your thesis, and this is one that people sometimes, even though it's not very big, people still struggle with that because then they just start listing things. And depending on the type of writing, that's just really kind of lazy. Here's what the paper is, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's exciting. Thanks for playing. So you can list things. Listing is not writing. Okay? So your thesis are things that you'll get time to practice with. That the thesis should state the basic points that you want to communicate, oftentimes including your main elements of support. Okay, and we'll show you some examples later on. But it should be clear and understandable. It should be deep and something that not everyone would think of. So it's not necessarily this is what we're going to talk about, this and this and this and this, but talk about in your thesis the overall theme of what we're going to see. If there's a conflict between good and evil or whatever, you're explaining that. You're not listing all of the elements that we're going to be seeing throughout your paper. Okay? That was probably how you were taught in the middle school, just to get you thinking about the organization of your paper. But we're talking in your thesis about the overall premise of what we're going to see and experience through the rest of your writing. It should be new and it should be original. Okay? The first thing you got to do is know what text you're reading. So start by reading the text closely, forming your opinion, and then come up with a statement that kind of summarizes your thoughts about that particular text. Don't be afraid to modify your thesis. Okay, your thesis, it should evolve as your paper evolves. Okay, when I used to write in college, and when I was done, I'd go back and I would maybe even change my thesis a little bit. Maybe change my introduction. Maybe my path of that paper turned out different than what I intended it to be. Maybe the focus shifted a little bit and I needed to show that in my thesis statement. Okay? So those are things that, don't be afraid to evolve as your thoughts and paper evolves. Okay? Your thesis should evolve as well. So, excuse me. Tips for writing the body. Once you write your intro, okay, then you have the segments. Excuse me, the big chunks. Find common threads among the items supporting your thesis. Oftentimes, writing an outline. This is something that we do in pre-writing activities, and we're going to do a lot of in our research paper to really help this. And so your pre-writing is an important stage so that you can develop and not have to waste a lot of time and a lot of effort. Begin writing with the body, making sure that each paragraph centers on one specific idea. And this is where I see a lot of problems in most people's writings, especially if they haven't thought ahead. They just have these monstrously long paragraphs with all of these different ideas in them. Each paragraph should have its own central idea, folks. When I see long paragraphs with a lot of ideas, you didn't think ahead. You just sat down and you started typing. And you just started typing. Well, I'm on topic. Sure, you're on topic. But your formatting and your structure doesn't show us the different ideas of you just one huge page of a paragraph. Is that possible? I guess it could be. But if you really have that many ideas in there, those should be different sections and different paragraphs. So keep that in mind as you're developing your body, that making sure that each paragraph centers on one particular topic. Not just, I'll hit enter here, I'll indent here. That's not the proper way, folks. So make sure that the topic sentence of each paragraph demonstrates a link between the content of the paragraph and your thesis statement. So you have, let's just say, 5 or 6 different topics that you're going to focus on in whatever paper, whatever writing. Okay? Each section, each paragraph should have a topic sentence, okay, that helps us to transition into that next thought process of subject matter. Okay? The second one there, different texts will lend themselves more or less easily to different methods of interpretation. Reading some sort of poem or sonnet as opposed to reading Shakespeare, or reading a modern day short story, or reading an essay like we did in our rhetorical analysis unit. Okay? Each product is completely different from the others, and you just might have to shift your thought process a little bit when focusing on whatever target literature you're trying to analyze. But all methods ultimately end in the text. So you focusing and discussing that text. So even though the subject matter might be from different books or different sources, the process of you analyzing text is still the same. Okay, so don't forget that. But remember to strive for depth and significance. Remember to center your paper on your thesis. So remember to organize your paragraphs around the central thesis. Okay? That's a conclusion to this particular stuff. Okay? Maybe you have a restatement to some degree of your overall purpose and point in your conclusion statement. Okay? But always strive for depth and significance in your intro throughout your paper, but definitely in your conclusion. Make it relevant. It's your chance to put a nice little bow on that particular on that particular paper. It shouldn't just end. Okay, so keep that in mind.